Hello and welcome to the California State University Job Order Contracting 2020 Pre-Bid Conference for regional contracts for the immediate response and general contracting. I'm Jeremy Gummeljak and I'm a construction manager here at the Office of the Chancellor.
And good morning, everybody. My name is John Kelby. I work for Gordian. I am a dedicated account manager for the CSUs.
So we're going to be taking you through a few slides with pertinent information about the upcoming regional contracts. So nothing written in this presentation or said during the pre-bid webcast supersedes what is provided in your bid package. Any deviations or changes to the bid documents will be provided in the form of an addendum. So here's a quick look at the pre-bid meeting agenda. We're going to be going through the bid schedule review, DBE Participation, SBE, DBE incentives, pre-quals, overview, JOC documents, solicitation details, JOC execution procedures, immediate response, why JOC works, understanding the CPDC, methods for calculating the adjustment factor, sample projects, bid considerations, risks of low adjustment factors. Then we'll review key points, bid opening dates, and then questions will be last. So here's a quick look at the bid schedule of events for the regional immediate response. Please verify all of these dates are accurate in the bid documents. You'll see where the IR bid documents are available. When we're advertising the planned bids, pre-qual forms, affidavit for joint ventures, last day to ask questions, when we'll be issuing the addenda, and that the bids will be due before 2 p.m. on that date. Additionally, please make aware the original bid proposal signature page, the notice of intent to award, and contract commencement, all of which are for the immediate response contracts. Here you'll see the same, but these are for the regional general contracting. Please note the dates are different as we need time to figure out all the contracts here at the Chancellor's office. So as far as solicitation details go, please be aware of the DBE participation. There's a 3% DBE participation required by state law, and good faith effort will not be accepted. The contact details for Thomas Johnson are noted there. You can contact him if you have any further questions. Please be aware of the SBE DBE incentives with a 5% SBE preference, and the DBE incentives of 46% or more yields an incentive rate of 1 to 3%. The solicitation details for DBE participation are noted here. You can see the incentives for each level. And the solicitation details on the southern campuses will include CSU Bakersfield, here at the Office of the Chancellor, Channel Islands, Dominguez Hills, Fullerton, Long Beach, Los Angeles, Northridge, Cal Poly Pomona, San Bernardino, San Marcos, and San Diego State University. Our northern campuses offer Chico, East Bay, Fresno, Maritime Academy, Monterey Bay, Sacramento, San Francisco State, San Jose State, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Sonoma State, and Stellinas. Please note that Humboldt is not included. Here are the solicitation details for pre-qualification. All prospective bidders must be generally pre-qualified through the CSU online pre-qualification system at Planet Bids. Please note the web address below and the dates that they are due. All bidders must also fill out a supplemental qualification form, past performance. Those must be emailed below to the email address. Please note the due date for IR and GC. Bidders must demonstrate that 4 concurrent projects over the last 5 years with a minimum value of $250,000. Please note that this includes owner references, immediate response project experience, a valid B license required for all work at the CSU. Official bid forms will be unlocked electronically to pre-qualified bidders only.
From a JOC overview from a higher level, job order contracting by the dictionary definition is a firm fixed price competitively bid indefinite quantity contract. JOC is designed to accomplish medium to smaller size projects under the minor cap for repair and remodeling. This solicitation, when we start talking about JOC, a firm fixed price is going to be the CTC that we'll be talking about and exploring later in our presentation. Competitively bid is what we're walking through right now for the contractors to bid on a factor towards the book. An indefinite quantity contract means that there is no single solicitation for a single project. There are multiple projects over multiple campuses. This is a performance-based contract. There is no minimum guarantee of work, but good work is rewarded with more work. A JOC is not designed to be to replace traditional procurement methods. It's just supposed to be used as an additional tool to procure work. Under the umbrella portion of the JOC contract, this is the phase, part one is what we're in currently now. The owner has advertised this. The contractors, yourselves, are getting ready to submit bids, and we'll talk about submitting bids a little bit stronger in the upcoming slides. And then the owner awards individual job orders or multiple job orders at different campuses accordingly under this contract. So it's not a single solicitation for a single project. There are multiple projects that can vary over the campus. And on the other part two side, it's simply showing that it could be project A, B, and C. There could be D and F. There are multiple projects that will come underneath this contract. The JOC documents, there are 3 documents included in this bid: front-end documents, construction task catalog, and the technical specifications. The front-end documents are what CSU is issuing for the bid itself, anything from the general conditions, the forms, the pre-qual information, the actual bid packet. Construction task catalog is what Gordian has as a proprietary software. We are using this to generate bids. It is an in-place construction task catalog where we have line items that include labor, material, and equipment for a specific task. The technical specifications are just what we based the line items off of. Just to note, we do have an optional software coming aboard. Currently, we are using Gordian as our software platform. We'll speak of that some more, but you may be asked to upgrade to the new Gordian Cloud. Again, sample, so we're talking about the documents, front-end documents, just a little bit more of a sample. Again, I was referencing, we're talking about the bid form, the bidder's bond, the certificate. Bid dockets are due within 24 hours. After the original bid dockets are due after 24 hours of the original bid or the bid posting date. The construction task catalog we talked about is organized by CSI format. It's based off of local labor, material, and equipment costs. It represents the scope of work for this particular bid. Since we don't have a specific job to talk about or a specific job to bid on, we're going to be bidding on the actual construction task catalog, treating it as a scope of work for this contract. This document will be found on the link below. It'll be available to all contractors prior to the bid to be able to peruse the book and build a couple of test proposals based off of the line items. Here's an example of some of the line items in the book, and in this particular case, we're just talking about curbs and gutters. And like I said, it's organized by CSU master format. The line item itself, so if the main line item is curbs and gutters and sidewalks and driveways. As you scroll into it a little deeper, you can see that it's curbs and gutters that I'm presenting here. The particular one we're talking about is the cast in place, and then we have an option for a curb radius. So each line item has a full description of what the line item represents. They also have, all line items have not only the original price next to it, the price includes labor, material, and equipment, again, for an in-place construction, but a lot of the line items also include a demo price, as displayed on the far right. We also have, in a lot of cases, modifiers. And what modifiers are or either an addition or subtraction to the price based off of quantity. So the smaller the quantity, usually you receive an add feature. Larger quantities, because you can get a volume discount or volume labor, usually deduct. When you first open the construction task catalog and you scroll down past the front index, I think it's page 16 and 17, there's 4 or 5 pages about using the construction task catalog. What this is a guideline of the rules of the game to how to use a construction task catalog and what's included in your factor. So the line items in the construction task catalog or the CTC are basically for construction only. They don't include any additional labor costs or overhead or permit costs that you would have to endure through any construction project. So this needs to be a consideration for your bid factor. And again, we'll touch base on that just a little bit later. But it's the general interpretation. This is something that you should really read prior to filling out your bid form of what's included, what's not included, what can the contractor be expected to do on their own outside of the CTC. The last item I want to touch on a little bit, even though we have tried very hard to capture a lot of the construction line items for any given situation, there are a few pieces of material or maybe tasks that are not included in the catalog, and we call those non-pre-priced task items. It's usually a material. It's usually a special widget or a 3-headed golden valve that's not in there. And so you have to basically receive 3 proposals to justify the cost of it. And we'll talk about that here in this next slide. So first, let's talk about the factor. If you bid a factor for normal working hours, and again, you probably haven't seen that slide yet, it's coming. We'll take your normal working hour factor and we're going to multiply it by 15% basically. So if you have a factor that's over 1, we also cap the non-pre-priced factor at 1. So if you have a 1.10, or excuse me, a 1.0, you get a 15% increase to a 1.500 for your factor. If you'd already bid 1.15 as your normal working hour factor, there would be, again, just to talk about non-pre-priced items, you need a justification for this item that's not in the book. That is, you'd need 3 quotes. If it's a proprietary item by someone specific, maybe made from NASA, you'd obviously have to put that in. It is the university has to give you permission to use this line item. So it's not a given. You can't put it in there and demand that it be used. It would be called up by the scope of work. You need the permission of the university to even use this formula, but this is how we handle it. Okay, again, building a proposal, we'll start getting in here just a little bit. In this particular case, we're using in-place sidewalk. And what I want to illustrate from this slide is that if you look specifically for 4-inch cast concrete for sidewalk, you see it's done by square foot, and for 400 square feet, it's giving you $5.06. But based off of the scope of work, you have other line items that you can add to accomplish this task. A good example would be you would have maybe some base that you'd have to do. There was probably some demo. There's going to be some hauling away. There may be a backhoe or specific equipment needed. So you need to use all proper line items, or as you scroll through the CTC, use all line items that are applicable based off of the scope of work. We talked about technical specifications now. Cordian puts out a set of technical specifications for fire-rated doors, for floors, concrete, cement, rebar strength, and so on. These are general technical specifications. This is how we built the CTC based off of it. But the university, if they have technical specifications that they try to use, supersede these. These are just a general guideline. So if the campus wants you to use a specific quantity or a specific rating, they rule. And again, I just want to reference one more time that we have in our software, most softwares, we have the ability to look at the tech specs at any point in time. Solicitation details. JOC is a fixed 1-year term contract for the CSU universities. There is no minimum value to this contract. Each contract has an initial maximum value of $1 million. So as they award you work, you can bring the solicitation up to $1 million. If there's an additional work that's needed and granted by the university, the contract could go as high as $3 million. That is their cap. No single job order can be awarded or authorized over the minor cap of $752,000. We're looking for 4 contracts, basically, for the immediate response. We would like to award 2 contracts for the southern campuses and 2 contracts for the northern campuses. In the general contracting, the same thing. We were looking to award 2 for the south and 2 generals for the north. We have the immediate response factor, construction during normal daylight or daytime hours. We have evening work, and we have a premium hour set factor. Let's talk about those just a little bit. For the daylight working hours from 7 to 5:30 p.m., that's a Monday through Saturday factor. The immediate response factor is something that can happen anytime. It could happen evenings, weekends, holidays, midnight, whatever. That immediate response is something we'll talk about a time frame and requirements for your attendance on the campus once called for that. So when you create your immediate response factor, consider all the timing, travel time, what needs to be accomplished. And again, we'll get into that a little bit more in the next couple of slides here. The premium construction hours are for Sundays, holidays, when there's overtime involved, maybe special conditions. So again, there are 4 factors: the immediate response factor, which can happen anytime, the normal working hour factors, which are daytime hours, evening factors or other than normal working hour factors, and then of course the premium hours factor. When we talk about immediate response while in mitigation, we need to remember that the campus is calling you with an emergency, and we want the contractor to go there and put a solution to whatever's threatening the building or life or whatever. If there's a water leak, we need it stopped. However, when you're in this mitigation, we need you to start developing a scope of work, select some task quantity items. We need a proposal built through the CTC based off of what work you accomplished. This is something, again, you need to take care of the emergency first, or the immediate response call. But then once that has been no longer a threat to building or life, we need a price proposal built along with a scope of work. This will be reviewed by the campus to guarantee quantity and the scope. This is something that is often overlooked. People jump into the next thing. We'd like to see this done on a regular basis. Once the campus has this, they can review it, approve it, and everything can move forward as normal. The response times for immediate response are a little different than those response times for the general conditions. With the exception of 3 campuses, a CSU representative, once they're called, you need to meet with them 2 hours from the time they call. You must have an initial workforce on the campus within 4 hours and a complete workforce, if needed, within 24 hours. San Luis Obispo, Chico, and Fresno have a little bit different qualifications because of their distance and their hours of operation. Their immediate response turns into 4 hours from notification, having an initial workforce within 8 hours, and of course, again, the complete workforce, if needed, within 24 hours. When we're talking about general contracting, there's only 3 factors that we need to talk about. Again, it would be daytime working hours or normal working hours, other than normal working hours, which are the evening working hours. For the solicitation details under immediate response, we have 4 bid factors. We have the immediate response factor, construction during normal daylight or daytime hours. We have evening work, and we have a premium hour set factor. Let's talk about those just a little bit. For the daylight working hours from 7 to 5:30 p.m., that's a Monday through Saturday factor. The immediate response factor is something that can happen anytime. It could happen in evenings, weekends, holidays, midnight, whatever. That immediate response is something we'll talk about a time frame and requirements for your attendance on the campus once called for that. So when you create your immediate response factor, consider all the timing, travel time, what needs to be accomplished. And again, we'll get into that a little bit more in the next couple of slides here. The premium construction hours are for Sundays, holidays, when there's overtime involved, maybe special conditions. So again, there are 4 factors: the immediate response factor, which can happen anytime, the normal working hour factors, which are daytime hours, evening factors or other than normal working hour factors, and then of course the premium hours factor. When we talk about immediate response while in mitigation, we need to remember that the campus is calling you with an emergency, and we want the contractor to go there and put a solution to whatever's threatening the building or life or whatever. If there's a water leak, we need it stopped. However, when you're in this mitigation, we need you to start developing a scope of work, select some task quantity items. We need a proposal built through the CTC based off of what work you accomplished. This is something, again, you need to take care of the emergency first, or the immediate response call. But then once that has been no longer a threat to building or life, we need a price proposal built along with a scope of work. This will be reviewed by the campus to guarantee quantity and the scope. This is something that is often overlooked. People jump into the next thing. We'd like to see this done on a regular basis. Once the campus has this, they can review it, approve it, and everything can move forward as normal. The response times for immediate response are a little different than those response times for the general conditions. With the exception of 3 campuses, a CSU representative, once they're called, you need to meet with them 2 hours from the time they call. You must have an initial workforce on the campus within 4 hours, and a complete workforce, if needed, within 24 hours. San Luis Obispo, Chico, and Fresno have a little bit different qualifications because of their distance and their hours of operation. Their immediate response turns into 4 hours from notification, having an initial workforce within 8 hours, and of course, again, the complete workforce, if needed, within 24 hours. General contracting is a little bit different. We only need 3, we were looking for 3 factors. We're looking for normal working hours, other than normal working hours, which are the evening working hours, and premium working hours, which are, again, Sundays, holidays, maybe overtime situations, special conditions. Overtime, I want to talk about that, even though I didn't touch on the previous slide. Overtime is if the campus asks you to accelerate and put your whole crew on and get this project done by Monday morning, overtime is available to be used. If you are behind on the project and the deadline to complete the project was on Monday and you decide as a contractor to put your whole crew on it, overtime does not apply, or nor within premium hour factor. Please remember, I didn't mention it in the previous slide either, but the adjustment factors that you're going to bid are for all the tasks in the CTC. Whether you're talking about paving, whether you're talking about drywall, painting, flooring, construction, demo, it's the same adjustment factor. Once you've bid it and it's award, that's your factor. Again, when you talk about factors, all factors must include indirect costs and profit. These don't change. The CTC pricing is not going to change for the year, and your factor is not going to change for the year. In the when you talk about general contract, this is how most of the JOC programs operate. The campus identifies a project, they contact you to have a joint scope meeting So you go to the site where the project needs to take you and the campus project manager, look at the site and develop a scope of work together. You need to look at different conditions that are there. Where can I store my material? How do I get my material in? What needs to be demoed? What do I do with my trash? Where do I put my dumpster? These are things that you need to talk about while you're on this scope of work or the joint scope meeting. This is important that you and the campus agree on what the scope of work is. Once the contractor has an agreed scope of work, you can build a price proposal. So in your meetings, you should talk about subcontractors, maybe be prepared to generate some incidental sketches or drawings. To take the time here is really important and often missed. Then the contractor has an ability to generate the price proposal. The proposal, once built, is going to be reviewed again for the campus. And based off of the scope of work, once the scope of work is agreed upon and the price proposal agreed upon, the campus will issue a job order to complete the work and approve the proposals to move forward. Here's a good time. Gordian has a proprietary software, currently eGordian, and we also have the Gordian Cloud, as I mentioned earlier. These are online software programs that will give you access to the CTC, your job orders from the campus. We will gladly train as often as needed, whatever personnel you need to get on eGordian, show you how to use it, or get on the cloud, to show you how to use it. Some of the navigations, that's what I do for a living. I want to touch base quickly on why JOC works. Good work is rewarded with more work. I mean, that's just an industry standard from a general business practice. But working with a JOC contractor, you can generate a long-term relationship with the CSU. There's low risk. You know the payment for the work that you're doing is going to be paid. You know that you have the ability to talk about the scope and walk through the scope of work with the campus. Should there be a supplemental or change order that has happened, you've got somebody right there. So it works real well to have a nice relationship, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the contractor to establish a relationship with the campus. We don't want anything arbitrary or providing things you should work as partners and as a team. For the university, it works well too. They have a fixed, fast-paced procurement process in place. They have a contractor in their pocket that they can call right away and say, hey, I need help over here. I need you to look at this. You'll be on campus on a regular basis or different campuses, and they'll often walk you to other projects and say, hey, can you take a look at this? Here's where we need your expertise as a contractor to, again, give all your information that you're looking at, see what you see from a contractor's perspective, and be able to give that to the project manager of the university. Again, like I said, it's an easy way for them to have a contractor on site. The process is fixed price. They know the procurement is a fast-track vehicle. Once we agree with the proposal, they can move forward. So this works well for everybody. Now, switching gears just a little bit, let's talk about the factors. It's important, again, like I mentioned earlier, that the factors, that you do your due diligence and take some time to generate these. And we have a couple of recommended ways to doing it. My favorite would be that you would actually take some projects from your own arsenal that you know that you've done 100 times or 50 times. So you know all the costs and the indirect costs. And take those 3 or 4 jobs and build those through the CTC with taking the time to remember the scope of work, including your subs, your overhead, your profit, and take the time to build this. And we'll talk about that just a little bit more here on this next slide. In this particular example, and this is only an example, maybe you take a project with doors and hardware or lighting or plumbing or replacing a boiler or whatever where you have a large knowledge of those projects. So it could be anything from drywalling, painting. I'm just using these as a reference. And what I'd like you to do is take these projects or a couple of projects and again, build them out of the CTC. You should know what your line items are currently, but please build them out of the book, and it'll start giving you an idea of costs. And what we're looking for here, again, remember, this is the cost for construction only. This is not including profit and overhead. The line items in the book are specifically for the construction tasks. Your adjustment factor should include your profit and overhead, and we'll get to that in just a second. So take your line items and compare them. You know, the book pays well on some line items, pays well on lots of, we try very hard to make sure all line items are current area needs. So when you talk about the northern campuses and the southern campuses, there'll be a different CTC for the northern campuses as there will be a different CTC for the southern campuses, and the prices will not be the same. Want to add some type of profit and overhead. Again, don't forget about any indirect costs, as maybe management meetings, or that you have to take time out to go get your bonds, or you have to have a travel situation, or you have to commute your equipment, or have to have management meetings on a regular basis with the campus for a larger project. Again, all these incidental costs need to be added to your factor. So here's what I did. And I just, again, this is just a generic. So the CTC line items are one number, 89,000. You've got to add some type of overhead costs. I would assume there was involved. You're going to add some type of profit. And that's going to generate a total number that it costs you to do the project that you're used to building. From the CTC, you've got the cost of construction at 89,491, and you can divide the two and generate a factor. So in this particular example, to equal $100,000, the line items out of the book, you need to bid a factor of 1.280. Because there are multiple factors being bid on the immediate response side, it's difficult to come up with a number. So we came up with a composite award where we weight the numbers a little bit, and that's what this chart is representing. What we're doing, once we weight it, we can add those weights together, and we can generate an award criteria factor. So immediate response mitigations is a 50% weighted line item. So we actually take your bid factor, if it was 1.24, would generate at 0.2600. I'm sorry, 6200. Wrong math there. Your reconstruction or your normal working hours is weighted at 20%. Again, we're talking about for the IR contracts. The general contracts are different. Your nighttime is 20%, and then your premium hours is 10%. So when you multiply your bid factors, it generates that award criteria. In this particular case, this is how the campus is going to take the lowest award criteria factor to award the contract. Like I said, GCs are just a little bit different. Your normal working hours is at a weight of 80%. The other normal working hours is 15%, and then the premium hours is 5%. Again, they add those award criteria factors, and the lowest factor is who's going to be awarded. Bid considerations: high quality work is required. It should be your business standard to do high quality work, but in this particular case, we're looking at high quality work is often rewarded with more work. Please be prepared to establish punch lists, take time for in-house supervision with your project, timely completion, the best quality that you can put together. Contractors are also expected to prepare incidental drawings for some projects. Pictures are usually 1,000 words. They're well done. The margins in the CTC may vary, but your factor and the line items in the book, again, are the same factors and the same CTC line item costs for a year. You're expected to maintain a fully office, a functioning staff, hold required licenses, meet anticipated goals for timing. It's just the general cost of business. Again, you need to include this in your factor, because the line items in the CTC are the cost of raw construction. So it's as simple as this. The unit price out of the book times the quantity times your adjustment factor happens for every single line item that you put in your proposal for that year time frame. That is your total job order price when added together. That price is based off of the scope of work. So for the scope of work, this is how you generate your price. Low adjustment factors. If somebody's trying to just win the contract and not taking the time to go through and compare projects, look at your overhead, look at your costs, it leads to lots of problems. Anything from arguments to exaggerated quantities of trying to make up numbers on the book. You have delays in development. It can turn into cancellation of the job. It's just not a good deal for anybody. So please do your due diligence, take the time, find some projects that you know about, build them out of the CTC and look at generating the proper factor, bid factor. Key points, focus on total potential of your contract. Again, there is no award, there is no minimum amount guaranteed, but you have up to $1 million for the original contract. And that contract, then if there's more work and the campus agrees to extend, you can increase your capacity up to $3 million. Take the time to evaluate the CTC. I know you can't look through every line item, but take projects that you know and get for a general guidance of what you're doing. If you take the time to build these projects out that you know about in the CTC so you can compare prices and generate a factor, you're going to be miles ahead of the game. Contractor performance drives volume. As in any good business, good work is often rewarded with more work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Please be aware of the immediate response bids and the bid due dates. The bid documents are uploaded into Planet Bids. And please note you will be locked out of Planet Bids that same day at 2 p.m. The bid results will be posted on Planet Bids within 48 to 72 hours after the bids are received. For the general contracting bids, same deal. The bid due date and the bid documents are uploaded to Planet Bids at 2 p.m. The bidders will be locked out after 2 p.m. And again, the bid results will be posted on Planet Bids within 48 to 72 hours after the bids are received. Do you have any questions? We're always up for answering your questions. You can contact me. There's my contact information right there. And then note the email address. And do note that all questions must be in the form of RFIs. And it's your own numbering system. I don't, whatever your nomenclature for that is, that's totally fine. But please be aware that I can't receive any emails later than the immediate response and general contracting dates noted right there. Again, thanks for your time. And John and I look forward to working with you on the job order contracting here at California State University.